Welcome to Adults Only Comedy Berlin. Today we have Patrick Moore.
Woo!
Woo!
I'm Patrick Moore.
You are Patrick Moore.
Thank you for having me.
I'm very happy to have you here. We did your podcast yesterday.
We did.
I felt like the most depressing guest ever.
We had a fun time.
We did have a fun time. I was just violently hungover. I haven't been that hungover in a long time. And then it was like, oh, great, let's do this, peppy, happy American young
Let's talk about your childhood.
And I was like, oh. No, I had a good childhood, but I really did feel like I had a very strong, a thick felt black, blanket weighing down my brain with so much self-doubt and feeling very old. And...
I just wanted you to know that me and the audience both noticed.
And I felt like my hair was greasy and I hadn't showered and I was a bit too warm in your
And I'm like, it's a video podcast.
And then I didn't want to take off my jumper because I was wearing this top underneath and I was like, I can't be, and it's a filmed podcast, your podcast, and I was like, so I was just kind of sweating a bit too much in my jumper during the whole thing.
I'm like, here, drink some black coffee, feel better.
I'm like, it's not enough. Yeah, that was fun. It was a very, I think it was also because I was in my egg, I'm often way more depressed at the end of my ovulation. So it was a
the
hangover.
egg jump?
The egg,
or the egg,
escape.
Escape.
Yeah, the egg giving up, the egg defeat.
Yeah.
Egg defeat is what it was.
The egg being like, I'll just take my things and go.
I'm just gonna. All right, it's okay. I'll leave now. I've overstayed my welcome.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I had a double wham of that, and also because I was getting drunk with an ex-boyfriend as well, and which is fine.
Yeah.
There's no weirdness there, but it was just I've been complaining about my love life. You know what? Just all my friends and my family are complaining about my love life, so I feel like I also need to complain about my love life.
Well, so you think you're complaining because they're complaining?
Yeah.
But is it possible? I'm just spitballing
Patrick,
here.
do it.
That maybe they're complaining because you've been complaining.
Of course. But they're also
it's a circle of complaining.
It's a circle. Well, it's more like they hear all the stories and hear what's happening, and they're just every time I mention a new man, they'll end the phone call with, "Oh, good luck with that new guy," and it's like, I'm not planning to see him again.
Yeah.
It's not on the book. They're just,
but no pressure.
They're just so desperate for something to work out because all my stories are about things not working out. So yeah. Anyway, I think getting drunk with an ex kind of highlights the the decisions you've made. Very happy with that decision, but still. And then the alcohol. Alcohol gives you such a moral hangover. You always feel guilty somehow.
Yeah. For me, it's anxiety.
Yeah.
And no guilt. There's if I have a hangover, there's just a part of I'm at the age now where it's when I'm hungover, I'm like, shouldn't I be past this? I thought I was better than this.
This is exactly how I felt the whole day yesterday, and it brought back all those things of I should go sober again. I should, and then
Boo.
Yeah, right.
No, I also I feel like I play with that idea, and then also what we were talking about yesterday with where if you have this creative thing that you're doing, you have your music and your comedy and all this stuff, you're well, fuck, I have a thing, so why not just, get rid of the extra bullshit and just,
Exactly, why not? And also, I think the podcast, talking about my childhood yesterday with you, as well as, I just turned 35 a month ago now, and I hadn't really been that present to do the reflecting on what I've achieved in the last year and what I'm wanting to do moving forward, and really, I usually light a candle and write a big page full of what did I do that, and then I compare it to the last year.
You do that after the egg dies, or?
Yeah. Ideally before the egg dies, so I feel okay about the egg dying.
Do you shut the egg's eyes
Put little coins on it. Swim into the toilets. Oh.
But so you normally, when you have a birthday, there's like you have a little ceremony to it.
Yeah, I give myself a little by myself ceremony, and I really reflect and then focus in on where I'm wanting to go. And so I didn't give myself that this year because I had a lot of other stuff happening, and and so actually this morning in bed I was because yesterday was quite sort of depressive and whatever.
I don't know, it's just something about, I don't know, spending 90 minutes with you talking, and it's just afterwards I felt like, everything is terrible.
Why do I exist?
Is this my life?
Exactly. No, Patrick. But I had one of those really reparative sleep-ins this morning where like I woke up feeling exactly as depressed as I went to bed feeling. But then through the snooze process of like 10 alarms, each time I woke up, I was feeling better and better. And I did a lot of kind of emotional, subconscious work this morning. And and I'm feeling okay about my alcohol and whatever consumption, but I do need to spend a bit of time reflecting and paving out, like getting clear on what I want in the next year and what I'm going to focus on.
That's interesting because I also have a little birthday ceremony that I adopted a few years ago, but mine is not like for the future. My thing is like, ever since I was like a little kid, like really even at like 7 years old, I was like, I don't want to turn 8. I'm not ready to be 8.
Really?
Like,
Even as a kid?
Yeah.
Wow.
Which is, someone should dig into that, not me.
But, that's really interesting.
But, because
I never feel like that. I always feel like, yes, I am 35. Now I've got the number to reflect that. I've always felt older than the,
Yeah.
So it's been like about time.
I think for me, it was always just, I felt like it's like the time is like slipping away somehow. What do I have to show for it? So my little thing is that like I'll sit down and I'll reflect on like and I'll just write down everything I did in the last year.
Yep, that's what I do. And then I compare it to what I did, like what I wanted to achieve the year before. But I reflect on what I did do as well, because how else do you then go, pat on the back, I did a good job in the last year.
And when you see it on paper, you realize you're like, wow, like it makes you kind of, I think it's a good exercise to, getting in a grateful mindset, because you're like, holy shit, like look at this trip I made. And
totally. And there's it can all just be floating around in your head, but to see it written down gives it the value.
Yeah.
And that's, I've been doing that definitely since I've been in Berlin.
And so then what do you write down for the future then? Like, what is it like? Is it a goals thing? Is it like a things that I want to work on, or like
it's usually things like I think the last time I did it, which wasn't this year but the year before, I wrote down like the people that like the things in my environment that are supporting me that I want to give my time to. So it's more like maybe people, like artistic formats. So might be like, I want to focus on like German comedy and Italian comedy, and then the people that I find who are really supporting me and are positive environmental forces. And then I will also put down like, maybe a few places that I want to go.
Nice.
So keeping it pretty loose, because it's not, I don't like setting, I refuse to do to-do lists anymore. I don't like writing down goals, things like that, because
I live for a to-do list, I have to say. It's my number one tool of mental health.
For me it's they're never finished.
I feel like that's the Buddhist part of it, is like you have to be okay with not finishing it. And the other thing is, I put on my to-do list like the simplest, like showering is always like, that's on my to-do list,
Well, Patrick.
Cut my fingernails, like that's on the to-do list. Wash the dishes, it's on the to-do list.
Really?
Yeah. And then it's like you get some momentum and you're like, all right, fuck, you know what, I can sit down and write that email.
Interesting. No, cool. That works for you. I feel
and
like
sometimes I don't get to shower.
That's why it's on the to-do list,
That's why
Patrick.
I gotta remember.
I am practicing. I used to live on to-do lists, and in the last few years I've really practiced like self-faith. That's what I'm constantly trying to practice. And that, like, yesterday was a dark moment for my self-faith goal. But really just going, like, knowing that I will do what needs to get done. Like the only time I will use like a to-do list would be like a checklist for my taxes that my tax consultant gives me. But otherwise, like, I know what I need to do and I will do it. And there's, the only other thing I'll use is maybe my calendar to set in a like, make sure you respond to that email tomorrow. Because that's it's like a professional thing.
Yeah.
But to-do lists,
I have a show in Prague.
yeah, the joke is Patrick and I saw each other before I went to Prague.
And I was like, hey, are you excited for your show tomorrow? And she was like, what show?
That's because I do shows every day. Like, I was just like,
oh, I don't know, the solo one you're doing in another country. I got a literal ad for it on my Instagram. Why do I know your schedule better than you?
How did that ad even hit you? Like, I was advertising to people in Prague. You know what I mean? That's so weird. But yeah. So that was funny. So, like, for important things like events in other countries, I will put a calendar entry. But otherwise, it's like I will get everything done. Mm-hmm. And it's the same with like the creative process that we were talking about yesterday. It's like I could go, oh yes, I want to sit down for 30 minutes and I'm going to schedule it, and that's on my to-do list to write jokes. But no, I will write jokes when I feel like writing jokes, and putting pressure on myself to write jokes when I'm not feeling it, just like making music or cleaning. But I do clean. But and shower. But yeah, it's like trusting the flow of things, and I get everything done. And I feel also like the time you spend writing a to-do list, you're just like, I feel like the time writing that, it's like you're piling up all of these tasks on your shoulders, and then you're feeling the weight of needing to do them.
In the same way that we felt like we needed to unpack why was I scared of turning 8 when I was 7? Mm-hmm. I feel like you're putting some stuff on the to-do list that's not all about the to-do list. like you're like, I mean, it's packing these things up, and it's like, it's just a way to organize your, like, 'cause I guess for me, the to-do list, and did you expect that the podcast was going to be mostly to-do list based?
Absolutely not. We're going to get filthy soon, all right?
Yeah. This is as filthy as I get. I don't shower, and I love to-do lists. But, like, I feel like I wake up in the morning and I'm like, fuck, okay, I want to, like, organize my thoughts for this podcast, and then I want to edit this, and I want to make sure I remember to, like, post something on social media, and then I did want to also, like, clean the kitchen, and also I wanted to make sure I run today. And it's just, if I wake up and it's like all buzzing in my head, if I write it down, it's like, okay, now it's like out of there, and it's just there, and I don't have to think like, oh, am I gonna forget cut my fingernails?
I appreciate that. Like, for me, for example, journaling, for my emotional kind of flurry of thoughts, that can be really helpful. I think just my approach with to-do lists, I had my last long-term partner just had these never-ending to-do lists, and
so there was
like
a little something more to the to-do list, it turns out.
Yeah, but I also had, like, I used to also do to-do lists, and I had done to-do lists for my entire life up until maybe two years ago, two and a half, maybe just 2 years ago. Yeah, I really stopped, and I don't even remember why there was a specific moment. I think I got more into Buddhism, and it's also like writing your set on your hand in stand-up. It's like, I stopped doing that because I want to trust myself that I know what I need to do. Mm-hmm. And it's the same thing with to-do lists. It's like, no, I know all the things that I want to do today. And if life changes where I can't meet all of those things, I'm just going to accept that and not have this list sitting there showing me that I somehow failed because I didn't follow the plan, even though I got everything I needed to get done.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's fair.
Yeah. Yeah,
we can move on from to-do lists. I'm like, but I'm also...
You've got more to say, don't you?
I just feel like it's a little bit like maybe like you're the one putting the value or like the meaning behind like this thing is on the to-do list and it's uncrossed off and it's looking at me, it's mocking me, it's laughing me, and I'm like, or just like, it didn't get done today, maybe tomorrow.
Yeah, but then that's the thing. To-do lists always carry over to the next day, and it's just that's why it's just. It's not that I feel like a failure but it's just like then you just have to. It moves on to the next thing, and then you've got these to-do lists of like I would have multiple different to-do lists, like to-do lists of like, like deep to-do lists, like, oh, I really need to, organize that filing cabinet, and then and it's like I really, and then there's like shopping to-do lists, like, but then there's like grocery shopping, and then there's like I want to make my home look better to shopping list, and then I want to upgrade my technology for my stand-up projects, and there's just like how many to-do lists can there be? And it's like, at what point is the activity of maintaining these to-do lists taking away from your actual
which, and I will say, like, my uncle is a hoarder. And he has these crazy to-do lists, like there's highlighters, there's like different symbols.
Dude,
it's like
I had stuff like that. Yeah.
So then maybe to-do lists aren't for you. I think what we've come to is I'm gonna keep using to-do lists, and you should keep not doing to-do lists.
Yeah, and I'm not judging. I'm just saying, for me, I didn't find them helpful, and I take it as a practice of self-faith.
Yeah, which I do agree with, like what you were saying about with stand-up, like writing the set on your hand thing. I kind of agree. I feel like sometimes also if you forget where you're going to go next, that's something something can come from that.
Totally.
Totally. I will say, like, if I'm hungover doing stand-up, then sometimes I need something to just be like, fuck, what am I here again?
Totally. And also, if I'm trying out brand new material, and I'm really like brand new, like that day written, then I will put the points there just so that I've got that, like, just the process. Like, I'll always write my notes on my phone, and then I'll write it in my book, more of like a dot points, and then I will, if I have time, which hopefully I do, I then transfer those dot points to even smaller dot points on my hand, so I know
like a word or a phrase that just is like that's the first.
Usually the first word or two words at each start of the bit.
It's just the over.
The one if. Yeah.
Do?
No. But it's only for those really new bits, and that's because I don't have faith yet. The faith is doing the new bit, right?
Yeah.
But and those are more prompts. But but it was quite a leap going from like I always wrote stuff on my hand to then not having it.
Yeah.
And didn't take that long, but it did take. I would say it took like maybe 6 months or more.
Yeah. I don't know. I feel like, but that's also something for me that's I feel like different. Like some people I've noticed, like before they're performing, it's like I feel like they enjoy like talking and bullshitting or whatever, and it's like I, for better or for worse, what I like to do is just like nervously like going over my set list, and then if I do that, if I do spend the like 15, 20, 30 minutes before I'm going on looking at my set list again and again, I don't need, like, it's good enough there.
I've got last thing about this, and then we've got to get into something dirty.
Yeah.
We have to, Patrick.
Sex, cum,
semen,
ovaries, eggs dying.
Thank you for bringing me back to that, Patrick. I so appreciate
Let me just pull that dark cloth back over here.
No, I'm actually feeling really good today. I think, okay, there's a few things.
Oh, great. So you feel good for your podcast.
Yeah, man. Yeah. I didn't give a shit yesterday. I was out drinking with the boys. I'm like, fuck, it's only Patrick. I didn't even remember that I had the podcast.
Oh, I remember, because when I said goodbye to you, I was like, I'll see you tomorrow. And you're like, where?
That's what I do every time I see you. You're always like, you know my schedule better than I do, Patrick. Did you make that? Did you make that clay head of me? Okay, we're going to talk about this now. Because that's also been informing a little bit of my weird mood the last few days. So on Friday night was the last Punch Up Comedy, my last production for the year. And And I got a few gifts. So if any of my supporters, as I like to call them, because I think fan sounds creepy, if any of my supporters are listening, thank you. I'm now going to talk about what you gave me.
But next time, money.
Right? My stepdad said the same thing. He's like, so I've got a supporter. His name's Davide. He bakes me things. A bit of the funny element of him baking me things is that he's made me like, well, the first one was quite funny. He made me the Italian salame del papa, which is a chocolate. It's a dessert with like biscuits crushed up in like a chocolate, kind of cake form, and it's in the form of a salami, right? And that looks like so. And it's called salame del papa, which, if he was trying to make a move, it's pretty funny that he's giving me daddy's sausage, right?
Okay, yeah.
He's not trying to. I think he would make him, but he's respectful. But then the next time for my birthday, which is like a month later, he brought 2 whole like trays of chocolate brownies.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Nice.
I know.
I love a brownie.
Love a brownie. Just normal brownies. I had to clarify that to everybody in Berlin when I offered them. They were like,
these are just regular chocolate only.
Just walnut chocolate. That's all it is.
Yeah.
But Anna, I'm not Moni. And then the next, then on this last show, he brought 2 whole like big bags of different types of biscuits. He had like 2 kilos worth.
What biscuits? You're Australian. Is that a cookie? What is?
Yeah, sure, it's a cookie. Yeah.
But like, are we talking sugar cookie,
Yeah,
chocolate
sugar.
chip?
A biscuit's
Do you like
sugar.
that I've taken it from to-do list to just baking?
Yeah.
now?
No, you haven't. You haven't. You haven't taken it. We're getting to some beef. We're getting to some beef soon.
Yeah.
Okay.
We're
Mr. Vegan.
Yeah.
Right? Are you still vegan?
I'm vegetarian. I've never been
Okay.
vegan. I fuck too hard with cheese. But
Okay. Cool,
yeah.
Cool. So you're weak. All right. So.
So he brought you these biscuits, and I want to tell this guy, by the way, I love chocolate chip cookies. So just FYI, if he's interested.
Oh yeah, I defrosted. I put them in the freezer so that I could take them if you would like some of his cookies.
Well, you know what people love on podcasts?
The sound
People
of
eating.
They are quite good microphones. I haven't eaten them. They kind of got a bit broken on the way home, and I took some out and they defrosted. Anyway.
Nice. Okay, so he made.
I'm not offering you half-eaten cookies.
Hey, these are some damp, half-eaten cookies. Please eat them on my podcast. My listeners are gonna love.
Well, you told me that the most popular podcast episode of yours was your ASMR. Yeah. So I'm like,
That's
what?
a sketch. Thank you. Get it right, Anna, okay? Clearly, you're not one of the 160 subscribers, but that's fine. I'm going to let it go. Okay, so this guy makes you the cookies.
And every time he brings them to me, I'm like, oh, do you want one? As I go to eat one, and he's always like, no, there's far too much sugar and butter in those for me.
It's like the weirdest neg. Like
here's 2 kilos of like butter and sugar filled baked goods that I've made for you.
I would never have that.
I would never. That's way too much. Way too much.
See, it seems like you would
fat.
eat this.
And here's like a ridiculous quantity of it that you will never be able to finish alone. I did, however, finish the salame del papa by myself. I didn't share that with anybody.
As he intended.
Exactly. I want that sausage all to myself. But then there's another. So thank you, Davide.
Thank you, Davido. Shout out Davido.
It's Davide, but I like
Davide.
I like it. It is funny. Like when I told my mum about this, she's like, "You need him to stop making you baked goods. If he's not going to eat them, why should he be feeding you?" And I'm like, I'm not going to stop free baked goods. Like, what are you talking about? Like, but then also the reason why I brought it up was because on Friday, this last show, so Davide was there.
He brought you the cookies.
He brought the cookies. Then another fan who's like a bit. I really hope he doesn't listen to my podcast. I'm pretty sure he does though. Yeah, the guy that sat in the front row, and I did a bit of crowd. I did a bit of crowd work with him, and I don't think I just did it to ambush him. I think there was some kind of context first. But I was like...
Was there?
I don't know.
Because I was sitting at the bar and I was like, well, this is a direction for the show to go in. And I was coming on next and I was like, great. Like, I'm glad that we're confronting this guy right before I'm going to go on.
I don't know. I guess I felt safer because he's come to a lot of my shows. He wasn't vaccinated for a long time, so he would try to sneak in. On one of the shows that I did, the bartender told him to leave, and then he tried to sneak in again. And and she was like, "This guy's creepy, and it's not okay." And he always comes in after the show started, and then he leaves before the show's ended. And I don't know if he donates or not, but I don't know.
Maybe he doesn't.
Maybe he doesn't.
He donates something.
No. So what I did, I don't know. Mum was like, my mum, when I told her about this, was like, you need to be careful.
Do you tell your mom beat
Everything.
for beat every moment of your life?
Yes. My relationship with my mom is probably better than your relationship with your mom.
Better or less healthy?
Healthy. I don't tell her about all of my sexual experiences, but I tell her about like the drugs that I do, or she knows I've educated her on drugs, and she even knew about when my marriage was open, and I'm going to orgies and stuff.
I think that's a really important thing, and if your parents can meet you at that level, it's like it is one of the best things you can do as an adult.
Totally.
With your parents' relationship.
It's not about oversharing. It's just about keeping them, I'm not going to go into detail about all the one night stands that I've had, or, all of that. But.
Yeah. I feel like for me, what I'm talking about is that it's like, the content of the sharing is not my problem. It's the quantity.
Oh, true. I only speak to my parents once, maybe twice a week, but once a week it'll be a solid 2-hour chat.
It's too much for me.
It's mainly because my mom can really talk.
Okay.
And there will be.
But will she call you, or you initiate the calls?
She's at the point where she's. I have to call her. She won't call me because whenever she calls me, I'm not available.
Okay.
But she's always available.
Yeah.
So she feels hurt when I don't answer her. So it just got to the point where she's like, "You call me."
Okay.
But then when we talk, there can be very long stretches in the chat where there's not a single question given to me, and it's just mum going through her. What's been happening.
Okay.
Yeah, she doesn't have that many. She's in London, and also for the last 2 years she's high risk, so she's been very isolated.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fair.
And my stepdad's there too, and we get along. We're close, but yeah.
Anyways, we should get back to the anti-vaxxer masturbator.
Well, yeah, okay. I think he must be vaccinated now because he's getting allowed into venues, which is great. But
good for him.
Great for him. Great for him. But he sat right up in the front row, and every comedian commented on how uncomfortably close he was to the stage.
Well, and I think it's important. It was everybody else was at tables with chairs around it, and he just pulled a chair right up in front of the stage like a child in front of a television.
Yeah.
No table, just hands on his legs.
Yeah. He was right there. He was very close. Yeah. He could have found a different seat, but he chose that one.
Yes.
And so I feel like there was some reason why I went there, but I can't remember. But basically I was like, "Oh, you're back. How you doing? How was your break?" And then I was like, "Oh, one time in the break of this show that you came to of mine somewhere else, I saw from over your shoulder that you were watching porn in the break. Were you doing that in this break?" My mum was like, "That's very confrontational, Anna. You sure you should have done that? You were shaming him in front of..." I'm like, I don't think this man experiences shame.
If anything, that was a turn on for him. He was like, "Yeah, tell them that I watch porn."
Yeah. And then I was like, how much porn? If you're watching, because it was the environment of that show was it's a very cute, small, intimate space, a living room. And for him to have been watching porn in that space, it's so I was like, and I said that, and I was like, "So how much porn do you watch? That's a lot of porn you're watching then."
He's definitely watching it on the U-Bahn. It's yeah.
And I was like, do you think you watch porn more than 5 hours a day? And he was like, "Well, I once masturbated to your Instagram, Anna."
Yeah. Which I have to say was a crazy comeback. If you're gonna get called out for watching porn in public, if you just double down and be like, "Yeah, actually I jack off to you," that's
Oh man, I went I wasn't surprised. That he said that didn't shock me.
No one was surprised. It didn't make it less funny.
No, it was so fun. As in knowing him, it wasn't surprising coming from him, but I just didn't expect it in that moment that he was gonna say that there in front of everybody to me. I kind of assumed he was that kind of guy that he was doing that, but it was oh. All right, so then that happened, and then that was quite funny though. For the rest of the show, people were able to like make jokes about that. It was funny. It was funny.
And I have to say, to his credit, like, he didn't see, like, I could imagine someone getting angry in that situation, and he seemed to be fine to have us roasting him for jacking off to your Instagram. Like, he seemed to be getting a kick out of it, which is maybe like a psychopath response. And I want him to know, if he's listening right now, take some deep breaths. 3, 2, 1.
And then you like to put a cookie in your mouth and you start chewing it. This is the sound of no. Yeah, so that happened. Yeah, and it was fun. Pretty sure he didn't donate. Yes, but all over his phone later. And then what happened was, so then this other supporter of mine who comes to shows, he's like offered to do the door for me at Belushi's when I've been like really under the pump, and it took me a while to learn his name, and he's been coming to my shows for a little while, and yeah.
Is he, like, what is he?
So
like, I guess I'll say it this way: the guy sitting in the front who jacks off to your Instagram and watches porn in public, I just on a level, he's not the most beautiful man. Sorry, sir, if you're listening, but like, it's just look. I'm not saying I'm like a real hottie or anything. I'm just saying he's not someone no one's jerking off to his Instagram. Is my point.
Yeah, no, people are blocking his account. Davide, on the other hand, who doesn't eat that much butter or sugar, he's
not like us pigs.
Not like this filth that he's feeding. Like I'm some prized pig he's fattening up to. Anyway, not prized, but maybe, I don't know. It's a bit of a feeder mentality. But David is an attractive dude.
Yeah.
Yeah. Very quiet.
Yeah.
They're all very quiet, these supporters of mine. I'm wondering if they've listened to my joke about how I would fuck men if they just shut the fuck up. And they're just taking it really literally. I don't know. I think I need to adjust that.
You're like, you need to shut the fuck up, but like not all the time.
Yeah, like please, like talk to me if you're interested in me, so I know that you're not just like fantasizing about this, pedestal version of myself that isn't real. Like, have a conversation with me, please. So anyway, this other supporter, he is from the States. He's from Alabama. He's a primary school teacher. Like, he teaches English at an elementary school, and he's given me, like, the first thing he ever gave me was a Coca-Cola, and he gave it to me. It was cold, and I was like, oh, it's cold, and he was like, yeah, I've got a bag of ice in my jacket pocket to keep it cold, so it would be cold for you when you got it. And he was like, I noticed that you drink cola all the time, and I was like, well, I drink everything. But I was like, thank you.
I didn't hear this part of the story before, but I need to say my red flags are just flying up right now. First of all, the noticing. Noticing can be cute, but that's a creepy notice.
But it's also like, I was definitely drinking beers. I was definitely drinking like at Belushi's I would drink a cola, but like I would also drink anyway. What was a bit strange is that he came to see a show of mine at a bar where they have cola.
No, it has to be my cola, Anna.
And so he gave this like ice cold cola to me.
You like it cold, Anna. Anna, I have your cold Coke for you. I noticed that you like Coke and that you like it cold. Very cold. And I kept it nice and cold just like you like it. Is this guy like fucking dead bodies?
I hope not. But like he had a ribbon around it and it was cold and then
But I do just want to say before we go forward, if he's listening, follow me on Instagram at Papmore Comedy. Bring me a Coke. I love a cold Coke.
Right? Particularly when you're at a bar that, already has them that you get for free. Okay. But also being ice cold, it was like, well, I kind of have to, I can't just put it on the windowsill and let it warm up.
You're like, I guess I got to drink this now.
Yeah, seriously. And I was like, so what's happening with the ice? Where's the ice? And he's like, yeah, it's melting now. I need to get rid of it. And I was like, okay. And so then I have this cold cola, and Bruno's like, "Do you want me to get you a drink from the bar?" And I'm like, "No, I guess I've got one."
Yeah.
and so I drink the cola.
You're like, is this sealed?
Yeah.
Like,
there was that, but yeah. So then the next time I saw him,
but sorry, what did he do with the ice?
I guess I don't know. I guess he tipped it out in the bathroom.
And did he have like a special? Like he was like, I kept it in my jacket.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
I don't know.
Well.
Yeah. So then the next time, like I think he came to a couple more shows before the next time he gave me something. So then the next time it was like one of the shows.
And did you guys have interactions at those shows, or was it just
like, hello, hey,
great
nice
show.
to see you.
Yeah.
Yeah, that. And then it was like one of the shows that I was like last one for the year, and then he came up to me at the end and he was like, I'd really like to see you sometime outside of comedy. Like, would you like to go out for a drink with me sometime? And I was like, oh. He was like, oh, I don't drink alcohol. And I was like, that's cool. He's like, tea? I was like, we could have a tea sometime. Like you're a big supporter of my shows. Thank you. Like we could hang out outside of comedy.
Which I do want to say also though, like being sober, I think it can be a great thing.
Yeah.
And I support that. It's just when you add it to the detail of like, I brought you a cold Coke because I noticed that you like Coke and I brought you a Coke at the place that they sell Coke, then it becomes a little bit weird. I don't know.
Yeah,
like,
I agree. It's a bit, and I bring it up because I'm going to paint
feels like he has a reason he doesn't drink.
Right? Maybe. I think anyone who doesn't drink has a fucking reason for not drinking, right? So then he asked me if I wanted to go out for a drink, and I was like, yeah, like, look, and he's like, so, like, your number, I was like, look, I saw you on Instagram once, how about I follow you back on Instagram, and then we can talk on Instagram. Yeah. And then he gave me a USB key, and he said, I made a playlist for you, and then he walked out straight away. So he put that on the little table and then left. And I was like, okay. And so this little USB key. Now, I hadn't opened and put in the USB up until this weekend, because then on this Friday, so he was at the show with, I don't want to call him El Creepo wanker to my Instagram page, but I don't know what else to call him.
Let's just call him the masturbator. I mean, it's what he is.
Very good. The masturbator, and Davide, who gets a full name.
Yeah. Davide Bakes. He's a sweet man. We wish he talked a little bit more.
And he does hang out after shows, but like, it's hard hanging out with other comedians to get a word in for sure.
Really?
What are you talking about?
Yeah.
So anyway, what are we going to call Coca-Cola?
I mean, I don't want to ruin the punchline here, but I've been referring to him as the very specific part that you're getting to next.
All
so...
Right. So basically, he, what do we call him? Dorito. He once said his name rhymes with Dorito. It doesn't. That was when I forgot his name.
Okay.
It'd be like saying his name is Sam. He was like, how do I remember your name? He's like, it rhymes with Dorito. I'm like, I can't. He was like, it's Sam.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, but his name isn't Sam. But anyway, Dorito.
Mr. I kept it cold.
Oh, I kept it cold. Yeah, ice cold.
Ice cold.
Ice cold. We'll call him ice cold. So I'm just reopening my computer here because I'm paranoid of losing recordings. So anyway, he comes up to me in the break of the show and he says, hey, I made you a solstice present. Would I be able to give that to you?
You're like, I only celebrate Christmas.
Hallelujah.
Yeah.
And then I was like, yeah, sure. And then he comes up and he's like, I've got a dash. So he comes up and he gives me €20 as a donation. And then he gives me this huge bag. And I was like, whoa. And I looked in and it's like this handcrafted box with ho, 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 like in elevated letters over the box. And I was like, whoa, this is a lot.
Which I'm sorry to just jump right back into the whole Christmas thing, but what does that ho mean if it's a solstice present? Right, I'm just wondering. Right. I'm just asking questions.
It's a valid question. Maybe they're like, it's the moon and the sun and different shades and starlight. I don't know. If you looked at anyway, yes, exactly. It's a Christmas present. Whatever.
Solstice sounds cooler. Solstice is what you say if you want to be sexier.
Right, it's my solstice present.
It's my solstice present for my ho, 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 ho.
Exactly. Yeah. So... massive heavy thing. I didn't open it until the next day. He sent me a message being like, hey, I just want to preface the gift. You've helped me, like comedy shows have helped me a lot. He wrote in English. for some reason. Comedy shows in English have helped me a lot to get out of a really dark few seasons. And
Because German comedy shows don't help anyway.
yeah, I think that's what he was saying.
I went to a Germany comedy show and I attempted suicide that night.
Exactly. Okay, now I see the point. I like German comedy, but okay. And he was like, and so I just want to say, like, and he said, I'm sweet on you, which is informed, like, the form of your gift. But, I understand, like, if I understand, where you're at with that, but if that ever changes, I'll be here and I'll still be sweet on you.
Yeah.
And
I'll wait for you, basically.
Yeah, kind of, yeah. And so then I opened the present, and so it's this very, very intricately made box. And then the first level of the box, there was some chocolates, and then under that was a message saying, "Let me be the hoe in your holidays."
Okay.
And then
Happy solstice.
Happy solstice. Exactly. Well, that was not the...
Let's continue to celebrate the pagan religion.
Exactly. And then I opened up the next level.
What was in it? What was in the box, Anna? Tell us what was in the box.
He made a clay model of my head.
So, lot to unpack here.
So it was about like...
And now we can officially call him by his real name, which is Head in a Box.
That is his name. Head in a box.
Head in a box. Head in a box is sweet on you. He's so sweet on you. He put not just any head, your head.
Yeah, and it's a very
box,
intricately sculpted clay head. Made with my glasses and hair, and it's very heavy, and it's been glazed. When I told my mom this,
with what?
When I told my mom this, my mom said, "Do you think he glazed it with his own semen?" And I was like, "Mom, that is..."
Does your mom drink? I would have a beer with your mom, is what I'm saying.
My mom's a good time. But not like that, like not in a trashy, like she, it'll be a nice bottle of wine. And
yeah,
she
like
drinks like
you
a
get a
couple
little
of
bit
glasses.
like loose and she starts being like, was it cum?
And that's why she's in a lot of my jokes,
Yeah.
because she's a filthy bitch. I love her so much. But then also with the chocolates, my mom's like, well, if those chocolates are sealed, like if it's a completely sealed bag of chocolates, then eat them. But otherwise, I'd be worried about there being semen inside, Anna. And I'm like...
Honestly, semen is the least of my worries with this head in the box.
And then as I started eating the cookie, like I defrosted some of Davide's cookies last night, and I'm like, do you think that's why he doesn't eat them? Because they're seeds. And I don't think everyone's as fucked up as my mother. But the thing is, the head in the box, like from the moment I opened it, I
just have to give Head in the Box some credit here, though.
Yeah.
Because when you're at a comedy show and a guy admits that he's been jacking off to one of the comedian's Instagrams, and he's not the weirdest guy at the show, that's impressive. Like, you somehow ended up being more creepy than telling me that to my face that you jack off to
my
me.
instinct. Head in a box.
Head in a box.
Okay, but then the next part of it, all right. So from the moment I opened and saw my head in a box, I immediately felt less safe. You can see my apartment.
Why?
It was. So my apartment has very open windows.
I know I keep cutting you off, but
I'm very paranoid that people can see into my apartment all of a sudden. And yeah,
her dress is... No, I'm just kidding.
Don't.
No, but here's it. So you're friends with him on Instagram now or whatever?
Yeah.
Has he posted, like, does he do...
Nah.
So he has no posting about... It's not like he's an artist and he always makes sculptures. This is a one-off...
Well, I think he must have done it with the kids at his primary school. Like, he works at an elementary school. They must have had, like, a project to make something with clay. I'm assuming, right? I'm giving him the benefit of the doubt that this was something that he did with the kids. And it was like, all right, we're going to make faces of our family members or whatever. And I don't know. He's got no family, and so he made me.
This is my wife, Anna.
Oh, dude. This is what someone else was joking about. He's like, Jill, my best friend, was like, he's probably... Yeah, talking about you like you're his wife, or that, I've met someone. And,
Yeah. His parents are so happy that he finally met someone. They're like, "Wait, do you think we could get a chance to talk to Anna? Do you have her email?"
But I don't want to be making fun. Like, if he's listening to my podcast, I don't want to be making fun of him. But
I do. You made a head and put it in a box. And here's the thing. I'm a sweet, sweet sweetie. And I've made some bad choices with ladies trying to be a sweet, sweet sweetie. And I can understand and give you a pass with that. But you also have to understand, like, the multiple levels that you went.
Decision making. But, like, and my best friend was also like, dude, like, imagine if you did that of someone that you liked. There's no way in hell you'd give that to that person. You'd be so embarrassed if they found out that you made it, Because it's too much.
Yeah, yeah.
And so there are lots of decisions that went into all of this for him to then give it to me.
Or like, the thing is, to me, I'm like, I could imagine that it's, you're a comedian, he's not funny, and he's like, what's funny is, like, what if I'm doing this project anyways, I'll make Anna's head and give it to her in a box. But then you kind of can't be like, hey, I'm into you and I got you something. You have to be like, hey, I hope this isn't weird and maybe you can use it for a bit. I meant this as a joke, but I put your head in a box because I was doing it anyways at school.
Right, exactly. My mom was like, he's probably got his own head of, like, his own little Anna Barros head.
Oh, I don't think he starts at the head.
And that's what someone else then said. He hasn't just got the head.
It was
he's
me
made.
earlier. I'm recycling jokes.
Well, that's how much of an impression you made of me, Patrick. I really remembered it was your line.
Not as big as an impression as he made.
Oh my god! But then I eventually opened up the. I did decide. Okay, I'm going to look at the playlist that he gave me. Now, I only bring this up because this is not. There was something a little bit unnerving about how he made the playlist, because I put the USB key in. Now, of course, the USB's title was Anna. Okay, that's not that surprising. But USB...
But just also, there's something unnerving about the playlist. More unnerving than your head in a box.
The thing is,
the scary playlist. I mean, we've already got nuclear. It doesn't get worse than that in a box.
Well, the thing is that I could kind of the head in the box, of course, is scary, right? But it's like, all right. But then it was the way the playlist was done that made me start feeling a little bit more paranoid in my environment. In that I opened the USB. Okay, it's called Anna. Double click, no problem. The only contents in the USB is one PDF.
Okay, weird.
Right? And so then I opened
what was your heart like racing
yes,
when you opened that PDF?
It was. It was. Because it's like, it's all kind of like tricky. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Okay, so wait. So like I opened the PDF and the PDF is empty except for a YouTube link.
And underneath it says, "Want to play a game?"
It's what it felt like. It's exactly what it felt like. It felt like one of those fucking FBI movies, where it's like the Joker is,
Yeah.
And so I open at like 7, basically just like 7. And so I then open up I double click the YouTube link. And then the first thing it says is, this content is not appropriate for people under the age of 18. Do you consent? And I was like, whoa. And so,
and I just want, if he is listening, when she consented, that wasn't consent. That was only consent to click at the playlist.
Exactly.
You can't take that. That doesn't count. YouTube doesn't count as consent.
Thank you, Patrick. Exactly. And so then I go, yes. And then it's from his channel, and it's a YouTube thing. He's made a picture. It's just like a 35-minute. It's called Side A. Okay. And then the picture, he's drawn his own picture, and it's like a little moving animation of a cassette tape that moves around, and it's got on the cassette it says, "Anna is my fave," and it kind of like lights up, and there's just a lot of layers of work that went into.
It's a lot. It's too many layers. First of all, too many layers of work. And why the PDF?
Yeah.
Why
the USB key?
Why the USB? Why make it? He purposely set it to a age consent thing. That was definitely a choice. As an aspiring person on YouTube, I can say
it's a choice.
That's a choice. And Anna is my fave.
FAV, just to be clear.
Yeah. Yeah, it doesn't matter how he spelled it.
Just
Doesn't make
clarify.
it
I don't know. Maybe
less-
just in case there's like some acronym that I don't know exists. You know, I'm not up with the cool kids or the not cool kids.
Okay. But here's the other thing that
Yeah.
I think is interesting is like, was there any reference to the fact, like, because you didn't look at it until he gave you head in the box.
Yeah.
So he gave you that weird game thing, and you basically, like, you didn't comment on it. You didn't say, like, thank you for the thing. I listened to it. No signal. And from no signal, he went on the playlist, on the creepy playlist. He was like, she's given me no feedback on creepy playlist. Now let's do head in the box.
Exactly.
I think now's the time to go and execute head in the box.
And this is why I started to feel a little bit unsafe. Like with all the like,
If you get a manila folder in your mailbox without a return address,
don't
move.
Yeah. And so, you know, and it's funny, like I've started, you know, analyzing in my head, like how many times I've described my new apartment and like how specific I've been and if that's specific enough for masturbator or head in the box to...
Masturbator is not, he's way too lazy to come search out your... Masturbator just wants to come. Masturbator got jazzed on you calling him out in public, and he jerked off to that when he got home for sure. But that's just that's a harmless little cum, you know, just a, you know, whatever. Head in the box. Whoo! That's another level.
I think he's just like, I want to just say like, you know, that he's like there's nothing dangerous about it, and he...
Head in the box?
Yeah.
I want to just say that we don't necessarily know that, and the evidence so far is definitely pointing towards dangerous.
No, Patrick, that doesn't make me feel better. I'm trying to feel better. And I'm trying to think that, you know, he's I think like that first time where he was like, yeah, my name rhymes with Dorito, like, and it doesn't. And he was quite surprised when I was like, it doesn't. And I think I even was like, what, are you retarded? And I was like, ooh, Anna, stop.
And he's like, oh, geez, I'm sweet on you.
That's exactly. Is he here? I just heard him. Yeah. Oh, but like, I just want to think that he just social cues, no, and so there's a bit of a disconnect, but not in a dangerous way is what I want to think.
Yeah. And has he sent you anything after the message about like, hey, I'm sweet on you. I know that's not where you're at, but I'll wait for you.
I just wrote when I opened it, and I was like, wow, that's a lot. I'm very flattered by the effort and the, you know, and I said, what did I say? I'm going to have to find somewhere to put my head. And he was like, yeah, it's my little Anna Barros head, because I have jokes too. And I was just like, okay.
Why does it feel like there's a Joker laugh after that?
Yeah. I don't know. And yeah. But I just like, I guess, you know, I just hope it's made me feel a bit unsafe, but then I'm like, all right, nothing's really changed. You know, he spent however long he spent making that, and I felt safe. So just because he's given it to me, I'm still safe.
Yeah. I don't think you should feel unsafe.
Okay, good. That's what I want to hear.
I do think just like lock your door.
Yeah, I always do. I don't want to feel like I could be getting followed or whatever. And oh my God, who was I? Like, it's so funny. As soon as you tell people stories like this, then they immediately tell you creepier stories. Like, were you around when someone had a friend that worked at Disney World or Disneyland?
Oh yeah.
Was it you?
It wasn't me.
Okay, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
But basically, I was telling the story about the head in a box, and yeah, this person was like, oh yeah, well, I knew someone that worked at Disney World as like one of the princesses, and there was a photographer that would go there, and one day he gave my friend the princess some photos, and in them in the packet of photos were also photos of her like in her apartment, from outside, and it's like, that is the least reassuring thing you could have told me right now. So, you know, I just want to think like I am safe, and I don't want to be, you know, worried about running into him somewhere that he shouldn't be. And I don't think he's that kind of person. And I think he's just got good intentions, and he just doesn't know, he doesn't realize how disconcerting it is to receive
Getting
something like that.
Your head in a box. Yeah, no, I agree. And, look, maybe a lot of what you said, it does sound like someone who's like a sweet person, doesn't quite know exactly how to interact with the world. And as someone, also I can say, like, as someone who's had my own problems with like thinking that like relationship things or like moments with girls are like way more than they are, like I can definitely empathize with that.
Yeah.
I personally never sculpted one of their heads and put it in a box and gave it to them. But I think it's probably fine.
Yeah. Right.
And if not, to all of the jury members listening, follow me on Instagram.
Shut the fuck up, Patrick. Fuck you. All right. So this has all been about head in a box and to-do lists. Let's move quickly. Do you have to be anywhere?
No.
Okay, good. So we've got...
I have nothing going on in my
That's
life.
somehow not surprising.
That's why I have to put shower on the to-do list. There's no real menu items. There's no like go to work or like
wow. Well, you've got your stuff on YouTube and whatever. Not to
Thanks
sound
for that glowing review. Definitely check out my YouTube page.
Patrick Moore.
Pat Moore Comedy.
Do we need more Patrick Moore? Comedy. Okay. So let's talk about sex. Let's get into something that's uncomfortable for you then, because we've been talking about my discomfort pretty solidly. Okay. You mentioned it would be a natural progression to talk about when you have given someone a gift, or you've thought that like interactions with women, with partners, or with potential partners had been more. Is there an instance that?
I feel like the thing I could point to is just like I wrote some very cringy letters. Like there's some letters out there that I'm like,
they're probably burned.
I hope so. I hope they're not in a box that are gonna come back.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. No, I mean, I think like the like tokens of like love or affection that I maybe gave that were like way too serious.
So like how long into a thing before you like?
Okay, like the example that's really coming to mind right now is we talked about this person on Moni's podcast, but I met this girl at a music festival. Like we were both high, and then we began this thing where it was like when we met at that music festival, one of the reasons we connected, we were like, we're both going to this other music we were at a music festival in Nevada, and we're like, next week we're both going to a music festival in Michigan. Okay. And so we'll
see each other
there.
Yeah.
And so then that started this thing, and like after like the third or fourth festival or something, like I just remember on the plane ride home, like I like asked the guy next to me for a pen and paper and wrote like a 7-page thing.
Dude, 7 pages.
Yeah. And look,
is that like just funneling all your come down blues into
100%,
love?
100%. I look back at it, I'm like, everything about that relationship was just me being like, I'm sad because I have no serotonin in my brain, and I'm like, is this something?
Right, and all your good memories are connected to this person when you had extra serotonin or whatever.
Yeah,
well, not extra, but yeah. Okay, 7-page letter.
Yeah.
Were you declaring love?
Yeah, like, I mean, yeah. I mean, I took 7 pages to do it, so, I danced around it a little bit more, but
what was in those 7 pages? Like, were you talking about the future? Were you just reminiscing on moments together?
I think it was, like, a lot of, when we connected about this thing that made me feel this way, and, being with you is like, blah, 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 and I know nothing is guaranteed in life, but, thinking of being with you and it was bad.
I think I shut off there and I stopped understanding anything you were talking.
Your egg actually just took a gun out and like loaded it.
Not this one. I was ruminating in the shower. That's weird. I was thinking about your comedy in the shower this morning, but thinking about
You're like, anything to not think about the head that stares at me everywhere I go.
It's wrapped up in the box, covered in case someone was even like, "Do you think there's a camera?" Like, I don't think so, dude. But it's still covered up, so you can't look at me.
You were talking about me, which I just enjoyed.
Yeah. So I was in the shower. No, but the shower is irrelevant. I was thinking about how your comedy, like a lot of, and this is a massive generalization, but a lot of male comedians, they'll talk about themselves. There are comedians that talk about their own personal histories and origin stories. But there's also like a lot of male comedians that like to talk more about, things that are happening in the world, or more like silly situations or whatever. But but I was thinking about how your comedy is a lot more like a woman's comedy, and that it's a lot more like your childhood and where you grew up, and it's a lot more personal.
Yeah.
And there are also lots of male comedians that do personal comedy, but often it sort of moves. I think it's a bit of a stereotype, but that might not be true. But anyway. But in all of your personal comedy, so about your parents and your job and your childhood, and there's and your marriage and your girlfriend and whatever,
whatever that stupid little thing you're doing is.
I'm glad you picked up on that.
It's fine. Everybody's like, you're happy. It's like, whatever. Just
whatever.
If you want to do that, that's fine. Just.
But there's nothing sexual, and so I was just wondering.
Oh, I have my incest joke bit.
Yeah, but it's not about any like. Oh, yeah, that's funny. I really like that. But I suppose like sexual experiences of your own, or sexual observations of your own. Like, do you think
that's because it's the deepest shame? I'm not ready to go there.
No, I'm not ready.
But I'm ready to go here now.
Welcome to my podcast. And it's throwing a bit of a question at you, but if there's anything that you can think of, is there something in sex or a sex story that you think is funny that you you have thought about making a bit or any kind of.
Yeah, let's see. I think, I have two thoughts about this, but one thing I think I could say is like, so I like. As you said, my comedy is maybe a little ladylike. I have two moms. That's like, and like also everybody around me, it was like my whole life, it was just like people in monogamous, like happy relationships. And so like that truly is like my kink. Like
your kink is monogamous, stable relationships.
Yeah. So should I leave
do you
now?
Mean like missionary and reverse missionary?
No, okay. But I mean, I just mean that it's like, I feel like for me, I haven't slept with very many women, which is something I'm very like self-conscious about. I've had maybe 2 one-night stands, both of which afterwards I felt like, I don't know.
And you're 30.
I'm 31.
Mm-hmm.
I've basically only had like long-term relationships.
I was like that. Wow, no, I had some like crazy 6-month patches where, like I slut-fested it. But I'd always just been in long-term relationships as well until I moved here. But yeah.
Yeah. So, and sometimes I think to myself like, part of that, like so much of my my early 20s and stuff was like I really had problems with like my self-confidence and self-worth, and that's been like a big part of my journey, blah blah blah. Boring.
That's true though. Have you seen I had Richard on last week, and Richard Sheffer, and we both talked before we started recording. We both talked about Moni's podcast, not in like a talking shit way, but in that it's probably the source of our greatest humiliation, because when you search our names on Spotify, after my podcast, the first thing comes up is a picture of me with the title, Anna Barros has self-worth issues. And Richard Schaefer's one is he's like, yeah, it's the selfie that I took lying in bed. So I've got like this double chin. And on Moni's podcast, the episode is Richard Schaefer is a porn addict. We were joking, we're like, it's like Moni's podcast is just to like put all the comedians in the scene down and make herself look better. Anna Barros has self-worth issues. And there I am like laughing. So yes, I totally relate to
Well, when I did her podcast, I had a thing at some point where I was like, being depressed was the best thing that ever happened to me, and she turned it into a promo. And like after she said that, it like freeze framed and was like clicked in
and like cartoon style. Pow! Yeah, exactly. But self-confidence and self-worth.
So self-confidence and self-worth, and so it's like
even though you had a really supportive, like you didn't go through a parental divorce, you didn't have a parent abandon you. That's really interesting to hear, because I really blame my dad for a lot of I've done a lot of therapy, but definitely that part of my
I blame my
upbringing.
dad too, so.
Yeah?
Yeah.
The sperm in a cup?
Yeah.
We were joking the other night that I'm your father. Like my big dick energy made you.
You're like, I went back in time, got a dick, came in a cup, and I was like, I'll see you in Berlin.
Take it, bitch. Susan. No, I don't know your mum. Both mums saying, but anyway. Okay, but that's so interesting. But do you like, this is really deep, but do you actually the lack of the sperm owner?
No, I think the thing is, because my parents, like they set up like my godparents, and my godfather was like in my life in the same way like I feel like a divorced dad would be. Like I spend a weekend with them every month my entire life growing up.
Oh wow.
He's like a total father figure. He's amazing.
Great.
Like super awesome.
So you did have a male,
yeah,
whatever.
Totally. And also badass of my moms who were like hardcore feminists to still be like, this kid needs like some guy energy.
Just
and
shows that they are aware of that.
Yeah.
I think that's obvious. Yeah. But that's very cool that they did that. Yeah.
I do think that like growing up the way that I did, what I didn't realize then, or at least the way I conceptualize it now, is that like I always felt like, oh, this is like, I'm different. I'm kind of like weird. I'm a little bit of an outsider. And like there was no amount of like love and great parenting that was gonna not make that the case.
Yeah, for sure.
But anyways, we were talking about how I couldn't fuck bitches, and
so your lack of self-confidence because you had too much love, because you came from what's the best term for it? Not a homosexual, but like family. That's fucking weird, isn't it? From
scissor sisters? No.
from two moms.
From two moms.
What's the term? What do you?
I don't know what do you mean? Like,
I guess in like from a like there's like a I guess
I don't know.
Like there's like a lesbian
family.
But what would you then call mine? A heterosexual family?
Here's a weird thing. This is true. Do you know the term for kids who have gay parents?
No.
Queer spawn. Yeah.
That doesn't work though.
Yeah.
Because gay is different to queer, right?
Yeah, but that is like, because the first podcast project I ever did, one of the things I did was like interview other kids, because I'm like the first generation basically. There's not really anybody older than me who like had gay parents. And like I found this community and that was like, they're like, oh yeah, you're queer spawn too? And I'm like, that's so gross. No, like
this looks like a frog family.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's so interesting. Okay,
but
yeah. But back to you not being able to fuck bitches because of your self-confidence issues.
I mean, I think the thing is, like, I have a joke
that
about.
Sounded really brutal. Sorry.
And you got a small dick too.
I didn't. Do you? No, I'm joking.
Actually, I wanted to riff about that the other night because like Rob was joking about it, and I think there is a bit about that. Like I also am. I mean, every man is self-confident or like self-conscious about their dick.
It's the one thing you're really physically self-conscious about.
Hey, I also had bulimia. Okay?
and hair. Yeah. Weight. Yeah, hair. You know, and also I do believe. Yeah. There's a lot of issues, masculinities there. Yeah.
But the thing about my dick is I am like a hardcore grower.
Like at that moment we made eye contact.
And you were like, this is somehow worse than getting my head in a box.
And Patrick
You said you wanted it to be dirty.
maintained eye contact with me as he said, I am a hardcore grower.
And I'm not saying that it's like my dick is big when...
No, you're saying it's tiny when it's flaccid.
Yes. Like to the point that like my wife, like she's like sorry, but she will laugh. Like, cause sometimes I'm like, look at...
You will laugh at your penis.
Only when it's flaccid.
Yeah, I fucking hope so. I love it. You have self-confidence issues and you've married someone that laughs at your penis. Only when it's flaccid. No,
But,
I'm joking. I'm
mean,
sure
like,
she's wondered like this. No.
It's a bit now like where it's like, cause like if like I'll come home from like running and it's like cold outside and it looks like a baby penis. Like it's hilarious. And I'll just come like look at this. Like this is wild, right? And we share a laugh about it.
Oh, that's great. That's for sure. For sure.
And here's the thing. I've measured it a lot of times. It's definitely like just below average.
But yeah, like growers it is a thing. Like penises can look really small.
Like the thing is if my penis looked like it was when it was hard flaccid, then it would be like I wouldn't have a problem going to all these fucking naked lakes. But it is like you're like, God,
it's
yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
I can't really relate, but I sympathize. But you think,
Are your
you
boobs
think
both the same size?
no boobs are the same size.
And like, because I feel like that's the thing from my girlfriends that like is equivalent. Is like
one boob being bigger than the other.
Well, and that like you're going to the naked lake, and the thing that is kind of making you be like, I don't want to take it off. Is this like, are people gonna say something about my nipples or the fact that my boobs are two different sizes or?
Yeah, for sure. I wouldn't. Yeah, like everybody's body's like one side is bigger than the other. So my left side on all fronts, I'm pretty sure, is bigger than the right side. But I used to, in my 20s, I was more self-conscious about one breast being bigger than the other. And then I used to be self-conscious about my nipples. But I'm not really that self-conscious anymore.
Good for you.
Yeah. There are women who have like the vaginas where everything's kind of hanging out, and I can't relate to that either. But I think that would be, they're not the usual vaginas that are represented in labia that are represented in porn. And so that's got to be a bit of a self-conscious thing for sure, for women. But
it's also funny about those things because it's like, I feel like, like I've had girlfriends also like that are self-conscious about that or whatever. And I mean, I don't know. I know that there are guys out there who are like, oh, fucking like,
pastrami sandwich,
whatever. Yeah. But it's like, I don't know. For me and like any of my friends who are guys, it's like, that's a fucking vagina. Like, I'm excited to be, if I'm seeing a vagina, I'm happy. Like, it's like, I don't give a shit. Like, you're going to let me touch it and like maybe stick something in it? Like, wonderful.
Amazing.
Like, fuck yeah.
Of course I don't care how it looks, as long as it's healthy, right? Like, just healthy. No, but it's interesting. So you're suggesting that aside from, so the two elements of your self-consciousness were, being a child, being queer spawn and your penis size.
Yeah, well,
when it's
think my baby dick when it's cold. I'll just say it. You were trying to dance around it, and I want you to make eye contact with me, and I'm just gonna say baby dick. I feel like that to me was never. That was not something that like held me back with having sex with people so much. Okay. It was more like. That was just body shame. I don't want to be naked. And honestly, more around guys than girls, you know?
Totally, yeah.
What I think is interesting, and I have a joke about this a little bit in my act, is that it's like, I feel like, and sometimes people have said to me, like, oh, you should do really well with women because, like, you grew up all around women or whatever. And I have always been able to have, like, great friendships with women. Yeah. But I think what's... interesting about like whatever my sexual psychology is that like I was always very paranoid. Like I never wanted like women to know that I wanted to fuck them, You know, like that made me uncomfortable. Even if I did, like I was like, I don't want to put that on you. And like my mom, even at some point, like I feel like, I mean, she didn't say it in so many words, and I didn't say it quite like that to her, but like she was like, I think you could just like go for it, you know, like she was basically like, stop being a bitch and just like start fucking a little bit.
Yeah. Interesting. Yeah, I think that's got to be like having two mums and coming from a lesbian. Yeah, like that's got to be something.
I don't know. I think there's just something about like, it's like I was like very self-conscious about like I don't want to make someone like uncomfortable and like and also probably some of that too being like I was uncomfortable and like
yeah,
totally.
And that being just like it's just easier not to.
Yeah. And I remember I noticed for the first, like when I got in a relationship in college, it was a very interesting experience for me because like I was like, oh, I'm in a relationship. Everything, like I don't have to worry. I'm now not worrying about other women thinking that I'm trying to fuck them.
Yeah.
And then of course that's when I started noticing girls
trying to fuck
me.
It's good. Okay, yeah. Talking about time trying to fuck people and whatever. That's my one complaint at the moment with being single. It's just like the amount of, and I do know, like intellectually, I know that when you're in a relationship, you spend an equal amount of time working on that relationship as when you're single, you spend like trying to figure out the next relationship or whatever, you know, things you're dabbling in, like trying to figure out the dynamics. But it's just like, I would so much like to just not have this instability. And then as I was, you know, and time thinking about this stuff, but as I was waking up this morning, having my therapeutic like snooze sleep, and I started and in the shower, right after I thought about your comedy.
But before you knew I had a baby dick.
I assumed, you know what I mean? No.
You're like, I have big dick energy, so I know when someone doesn't have it. And
I kind of do, but no, I don't. But I was thinking also, so at the start of 2021, because 2020 had been such a strange year, and also just because, like, you know, astrology.
Yeah.
I checked my yearly horoscope at the start of 2020, and it was like, you're gonna have great success and wealth, and you know you're gonna become a leader amongst your peers. You're gonna, you know, really progress. You're gonna make way more money. You're gonna get financial stability, all this stuff. And then when it comes to love, there will be no good options for you this year. However, at the end of the year, there will be some light moments. Now, this was true. And so I was like, all right, let's check. So I got my best friend to check my my horoscope for 2022, and it's pretty much the same. However, it says at the end of the year, apparently there will be an extraordinary love, romantic relationship.
The full body in the box.
Full body in the box. But alive, and I'll be in the box. No, I don't want to be. No boxes. No boxes, Patrick.
Yeah.
But
maybe one box.
Maybe one. No boxes. Well, my box.
Yeah,
there we go.
Yeah.
Got it. But so like with this in mind, and then with this thing of like, I just wish I had this thing so I didn't have to spend time thinking about it. I'm like, okay, well, if maybe I get a relationship at the end of next year, maybe I get one. Maybe finally something like clicks and is right for me. This moment right now, it's like, okay, hold on. Like what I'm doing right now in my comedy, for example, I'm working on a lot of material from my marriage. Mm-hmm. And I think if I had a boyfriend right now, that would be very uncomfortable for him. So I'm like dredging up all these stories, and I'm working through this material, and imagining if I actually had a partner right now, that would be very uncomfortable. Like, and it's not to say that you can't do that stuff when you've got another partner, but the creative freedom I have right now to go deep into those things and whatever is really nice, and to just focus purely on what I'm focusing on work-wise. So I'm starting to have a bit of a different, you know, yes, it takes time to like fuck around and try and find a good partner, but I've got this other time. And so,
yeah.
You know.
I mean, I think that like one of the great underrated parts about being single that nobody talks about, and it should be talked about more, is that it's like, you can just do whatever the fuck you want to do.
Exactly.
And like, and not even like, I think it always, people talk about it in the sense of like, you could just fuck whoever you want to fuck. And it's like, that's not it. It's like, you could move. If you were like, hey, I want to fucking move to Paris, you could just do that shit. Like, it's not, there's no, it's just you to decide if you want to do that. And like,
there's no coordination. There's no consideration of other people.
Yeah.
And I'm really like, I can just, I'm going to go to Barcelona first week of January. Boom.
Yeah.
Don't have to, like, no conversation with anybody.
And like, you have, you know, your music and your comedy and whatever. And it's like, you can put as much into that as you want to. You don't have to think like, oh, fuck, like, okay, I need to be considerate of like this other person and, you know, whatever.
Totally. And like dating a couple of people recently, it was like them being like, oh, yeah, well, you got a show tomorrow? Oh, it's always the problem. Like, that's always the problem. It's like,
That's not great.
No, it's not a problem, really.
Well, can I say something about what you just said with the astrology thing?
Yes, please.
So I know probably from everything you've heard about me, you think like I definitely am an astrology family, but not super big.
Not super big.
But my best friend, his parents, who were like also like other parents for me, like I was kind of a part of their family. They had this like astrologer that they always used like for years, you know.
Really? Interesting.
And like would do readings for them and whatever. And when I was 27, they gifted me a reading for Christmas with her, and I went. And this is also something else for your podcast. Is it's funny to me when people are like, I haven't fucked in like 3 months. This is so fucking crazy. I'm like, is it? Like, I don't think, for me, I don't know. It's just like, is that crazy? Yeah.
But it's obviously based on what your usual rhythms are.
And I'm not like shaming people who feel like it's a lot. I'm always like, I don't,
and for me, that's a long time, for example.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But anyways,
this is true.
Yeah. No, I feel like that just gets to the point of the fact that like for me, it's like that's what I'm not good at is like I was never good at like just being like, oh, I can just like have sex and it'll be fun. You know what I mean? It's like it's always like, what does this mean? You know, and that's probably why I'm like, well, I haven't had a deep connection with anybody. And
but I think like I am the same if I think that person has something more interesting about them. But if it's like, oof, no, then I'm like, it was just fun.
Yeah. Okay. But anyway, so the point was they got me this astrology reading, and I had been single for like a while at this point. I'd been living at home, and I was about to leave on a trip, and so
very what a catch you were at this point.
Look, I work full time at a grocery store. I live with my moms, and I'm learning the saxophone. Why don't you want to fuck me?
How old were you?
27.
Oh, prime.
Yeah. Actually, great years. But but so they got me this astrology reading, and like the main thing, like for me, it's always been like I want to meet somebody, whatever. And this was in like December of like 2016, I guess. And I was like, so what this, you know, I was asking about job stuff and relationship stuff. And she said, your window to meet someone is going to start to open in like May of next year. And that is when I met Anya.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Now my visa.
That's so sweet. That's so sweet.
And she also said that the next, like, in the January of the following year of whatever it was, 2018, I would have like a new career opportunity, and that's when I got the job to become a fisherman. So I was like, maybe it's like somehow like I'm trying to fit the thing into what she said.
Yeah.
But
it's also like, and it's like for example, the horoscope of this year, I was like, all right, that frees me up. I'm not going to find any good relationship material, but that's not to say I didn't try to have relationships with multiple people that I met during this year, and like I did, and it didn't work out, and they weren't that like I really wanted them to work out, but yeah, it's interesting how it's following that, and it's like, you know, just like the first, you know, like maybe like. Like the browner the yogi, the better the horoscope. That was the joke we made on the other night, but it was really just like the fifth horoscope in like the Google search of like Scorpio horoscope 2022. And yeah, let's see. But so far, the 2021 one has been exceedingly accurate.
Yeah, well, I mean, let's not forget that, you know, there was some light fun at the end of the year in the form of
the morning after pill and
your head in a box.
And my head in a box. And also, like, sex-wise, like, I have had an extremely I've had a lot of fun in the last few months, for sure. And it's been very light. And yes, there's been some like, but I've also been not practicing detachment, but just like, I got so fucked up by, heartbreak at the start of the year with friends and work and some love things that, like, I'm really just like, I have no expectations of anything working out. And I just take things as they come.
Which, don't you think that's like the best, like that? I think that's the best mindset to be in, right?
Oh, yeah.
It's like when you expect nothing, that's usually when something comes.
Yeah, and that's exactly where I'm at. It hasn't meant that things have come recently. It's like, I expect nothing. It's like, oh, yep, and nothing happened.
Yeah.
Cure.
Yeah.
But yeah, whatever. It's cool. But we'll wrap it up. So do you have anything, if anything else you wanted to bring up or?
Well, I had one thing that I thought of that I thought would be interesting and dirty to talk about.
Yeah.
One last thing based off of the guy at the show, the jerk off to the Instagram thing. So like, I feel like I have like I'm not like totally anti-porn. I feel like it's not the best, you know? And the fact that it's like all of my first orgasms were like with like gross porn videos, you know? It's like, when I think about that, I'm like, I was, that's weird.
Like gross? How gross? What sort of gross?
I just remember specifically the very first time that I orgasmed, it was like some Eastern European woman, and she was in like a dark room, and like she had acne, and like it was like, it looked very like, when I look back on it, I'm like, Jesus, was this like, what was this? And like, it was.
You still have it bookmarked? Is that why?
I don't know. It's just, it is seared into my memory. Like,
and she was getting fucked by one guy.
It wasn't even. It was like he like came in her mouth and was like being like, show it to me, kind of whatever, you know.
So the acne was definitely in focus.
Definitely in focus. And the sadness. And I was like, oh, this is what sex is.
Oh no.
And Ellen was on in the background. That's true.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh my god. So gay.
Yeah, but so anyways, my point is like, I feel like I have this like relationship with porn where I'm like, I don't really want to be like looking at it. It doesn't make me feel great, but then sometimes I do, and then sometimes I don't. And like, I've had that for several years now in various phases. And then, it's like, I tried doing the mind masturbation thing. It doesn't work for me. And I have to admit, I went through a phase where I jerked off to like Instagram people.
Really?
Yeah. And then I thought, here's the thing is like, when I was doing it, I thought like I was being better. Like I was like, oh, this is better. And then I told my friend about it. He's like, that's so much worse. Like, that's so fucked up. Like, don't do that. Go watch some porn.
I was about to get on my high horse, and then I was like, no, I totally masturbated to an Instagram profile recently. But it was because it's like someone that doesn't get better. It was more like
You're like, I knew them. It was the guy.
Yeah. No, it was like... it was more like I didn't masturbate to it. It was more like I looked at his profile. I'm like, this guy seems like someone like, okay, is this gonna get gross now? It was like it is gross, but it's what I do with mine.
Do it. It's the podcast. It's adults only. This is adults only podcast.
Only Comedy Berlin with Anna.
Anna was flicking her bean, looking at a hot Insta profile. Come on, Anna, tell us the details.
I keep making eye contact with you with specific phrases like flicking her bean. Like, okay, which is fine.
Yeah.
But it was more like, I haven't talked about this because I hadn't thought about it, but yeah, like I mind masturbate. So I think mind masturbation is you're thinking about people that you want to fuck, or you're thinking about maybe memories, or you're twisting memories with future fantasies or whatever. And so I didn't masturbate directly to looking at someone's Instagram profile or account, but I pulled it up because I was like, Instagram actually kept suggesting that I follow them, which was weird. And I've met them once or twice. And I
So
find
it's a
them,
real person, not like a
Yeah.
like influencer or
yeah, not an
celebrity.
influencer, but just like someone who's I
Around.
find very attractive. I
Yeah.
met once. We had a really nice, but then like I hadn't thought about him, and then Instagram kept suggesting that I follow
Yeah.
him. And I was like, huh. So I looked at his profile a couple of times. Oh yeah, and then I was like, and then it kept suggesting, and so and it's not like he's like he doesn't have that many followers. Like, he's not
Yeah.
even big, and yeah. So I pulled it up, and then I masturbated thinking about it.
But I mean,
to the
so
account.
I think that's also like, it's not like, I think the point of the Instagram masturbation is that it's like, it's a visual reference to like check in with, to feed whatever
to feed
fantasy.
the mind masturbation.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's what you were doing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
Okay.
not like I was like, ooh, fucking bikini, like,
Yeah, okay, that's what I was gonna say. Like coming from you, Patrick, that would
Yeah.
be surprising. I assumed it was more. Yeah. Cool.
Yeah, no, it's
Did
more
you do
just
famous
like,
people or people you knew?
no, not people that I knew.
Not like-
that.
No, I didn't mean me. I meant more like people from your high school or something. Or...
No, that to me felt like too much of like a, like that felt
So
too.
people you don't know.
People I don't know,
Personally,
but like like just like Instagram is like, ooh, this is like a, you seem to like dreadlocks, like here, check out this. and actually that's the saddest part of the
hilarious.
masturbation experience is, now that I think about it, it's like when I was doing it, it was like, what I was jacking off to was like, oh, we're like holding hands in the park, like, oh, we're in love, like
That's
we're fucking, but
adorable.
also like
Yeah.
it's like, I'm cooking you breakfast.
Yeah, I'm
and
cooking for you. I did the same shit though, for sure. But also, I'm very I'm way more pornographic, I think, in my mind, masturbation. But that's adorable that you create a bit more of a storyline.
Which I think, to the point of the incest porn,
Yeah.
is why I like got into that. Was it was just like, for me, if I do want to watch porn, it's like I can't watch a porn that it's just like straight to the fucking. Like I do need a backstory. Like I need to know a little bit, like, why are we fucking?
Interesting.
And so it's like, even if it's a twisted reason, I'm like, oh, I get like, oh, this is taboo and like we shouldn't and like, oh, blah blah blah. It's like, but there's a story, and that's nice.
And that's what you want.
Yeah, I need a story.
Yeah, I don't. I just want to see like the close up of the penis entering the hole, and like that's what I'm masturbating to. But like but like that's what I do when I'm mind masturbating. Mind masturbating.
You're picturing penis going into the vagina.
Yeah. But I'm also like, there might be like there's a person that I'm fantasizing about, but it's really focusing just on the physical act of fucking, really.
Yeah.
I don't need a story. And when I watch porn, like the porn is just for me to refresh the images, the close-up images of the penetration.
Yeah.
Or some other stuff, like maybe but like I can do all the other stuff in my head, like spanking or do all the crazy shit.
Yeah.
Group sex maybe, but yeah. Have you ever had group sex?
No.
No, okay.
No.
I assumed, but
Yeah. Honestly, one is more than enough. I'm already a little bit overwhelmed.
Exactly.
How many pancakes can I make? I'm running out of batter here. Who wants an omelet?
Oh my god, amazing. All right, I think we'll wrap it up then. So
Yeah.
you've already plugged your Instagram so many times. So
At Patmore Comedy on all platforms. TikTok, check me out.
YouTube.
Instagram, check me out at Patmore Comedy. Facebook.com/Patmore Comedy. YouTube.com/Laugh at Pat. I did a rebrand earlier in the year and couldn't change it. Check it out. Weekly sketches and podcasts. Wow! Back to Dirty Anna in the morning, flicking the bean. This is Micro Penis signing off.
Bravo. Oh my god. Pat, that was super fun. That has been Adults Only Comedy Berlin. See you next time. Goodbye.